Year 6 and welcome to Friday's science lesson. Last day of virtual lessons before we can all be back together next week and I can't wait. We're going to pick up on our work from last week today on the circulatory system. So remember last week we learnt the basics of it. We talked about the systems of our body and we focused in on the circulatory system, the heart. The heart, the blood and the blood vessels were the three parts of the system, and we started to learn a little bit about how it works and what it's for. So a quick recap. Can you remember the difference between veins and arteries? Both are blood vessels, but can you pause and write down the difference between veins and arteries? Okay, so if you remember, one takes the blood away from the heart that's got oxygen in it and delivers the oxygen to the rest of your body, and one brings the blood without oxygen back into the heart for the whole thing to start again. Can you remember which one's which? So last week in the lesson there was a little trick to help you remember. Arteries begins with A and it takes it away. Okay, so arteries away, the arteries carry the oxygenated blood away from the body, away from the heart to the other parts of your body, and the veins have got the word in it, and the veins take the blood back into the heart from the body. Okay, so well done if you remembered that. Now remember that the function, the point, the job of the circulatory system is to transport the oxygen, the nutrients and the water that your body needs through the blood. So those things are found in your blood, and the blood carries it to the different parts of your body, and the blood is in your blood vessels, the veins or the arteries. At the center of the system is your heart, and your heart is a muscle. So your heart continually pumps. It is a muscle that's continually moving, and then the blood vessels connect it up to the rest of the body and the blood goes through. So why does our body need these things? Why does our body need oxygen? We need oxygen to breathe and do everything. It gives us the energy that we need to do anything. Without oxygen, we would not be able to function. Okay, there's a couple of facts down at the bottom here. So did you know that your heart beats around 3 billion times in an average lifetime? We talked in the last lesson about your heart rate and your pulse, and where you can find it here, you can find it here, and your heart rate is how many times it beats per minute. If you were to lay out all the blood vessels in the body, there would be long enough to go around the world twice. So that sounds quite dramatic, quite a long way, and all of that length is inside our body. So that is how complicated the network of blood vessels are. It takes 20 seconds for blood to circulate the whole body. So 20 seconds, your blood has done a trip around the whole body. And then thinking about other animals. So last week we recapped on the animal groupings and we remembered that as humans, we are mammals. But within the animal kingdom, heart size is related to body size. So for example there, a blue whale, and one of the most massive animals, their heart is the size of a small car. And you'll remember from last week that our heart is the size of our fist and situated just slightly to the left of the centre of our chest. So today we are going to delve a little bit deeper into the heart itself and how that movement of blood, that circulation actually happens. So last week we learned about the blood vessels and we learned that the heart and the blood vessels and the rest of the body are connected. Today we're just going to go that little bit deeper. I would strongly recommend that as you follow this video through, you're making some notes, because when it comes to your independent task, obviously you can watch the video back. That's the luxury of virtual lessons, I suppose. But just like we would do in class, if you make notes as you go along, then it will help you to remember. So your heart has 4 chambers, 4 sections. And if you look at the diagram here, you can see them. So you've got your veins and arteries going off here, these tubes, these blood vessels, and then this is your actual heart. Okay, so you can see at the bottom you've got these slightly larger sections, at the top you've got the slightly smaller sections, and you've got a space which has a opening and closing valve in between. Okay, so the top ones are your atria. That's the plural word, or the singular word atrium. So you have a right and a left atrium, and at the bottom you have ventricles, a right and a left ventricle. So your heart pumps, as I said before. Blood enters in the upper chambers, the atria, and they squeeze. It's always pumping like this, a squeezing pumping motion. And it pushes the blood into the lower chambers, and then that gets squeezed and pushed out of your heart to the lungs and the rest of the body. And you have a valve which kind of, where can you see my fingers, which kind of closes or opens and controls the blood flow between the two sections. The blood, that says the blood is carried to blood. That doesn't make sense. The blood is carried to the body through arteries, which obviously takes that oxygen, nutrients and waste, the rest of the body, and then it carries waste products back. So remember, carbon dioxide is your waste and oxygen is what we need. Okay, so 4 chambers: right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. Now, your heart is a pump, but it is a double pump system. Okay, so on one side, we talked last week about your heart pumping blood to the rest of your body, which is true. But the thing that we didn't specifically talk about was the lungs. Okay, and the lungs are really important. So the heart is a double pump system, and one side pumps the blood between the heart and the lungs, and the other side pumps the blood between the heart and the rest of the body. So the left side, you've got your oxygenated blood. So the blood with the oxygen in it. Okay, we're going to the lungs, get your oxygen, go through the heart, take it to the body. Here, you've got deoxygenated blood. No, the oxygen's been taken up by the body, and so the blood goes back in to get more. Okay, and you can see it flows through here. So it's going in the heart, up to the lungs, get your oxygen, down here, down in the heart, out to your body, dump your oxygen and go back again. So we've got these 2 loops happening. Okay, lungs are, you breathe in oxygen, so that's where you've got your oxygen, your lungs, that gives the oxygen out. The body parts take your oxygen because it needs the energy to do all its movements and anything like that, and then it goes back, flows back again. Now this looks like quite a complicated diagram, and you can come back to it later to help, but we've got your right atrium, your left atrium, your right ventricle and your left ventricle. Then you've got these valves that I talked about, and you don't need to get too specific about the names of the valves, but it does give them there if you are interested. You've got a tricuspid valve, mitral valve, and a pulmonary valve. But as I say, you don't need to worry too much about that. What you do need to worry about is these main veins and arteries and the names of them. Okay, so you've got pulmonary veins and pulmonary arteries, and these refer to lungs. Anything pulmonary is referring to your lungs. So the pulmonary veins carry the blood from the lungs to the heart. So again, veins into heart. And the pulmonary artery is from the heart to the lungs, away from the heart. But that's lungs. Then your 2 main vessels that carry to the body, from the body, are your vena cava. Okay, so again, into the heart from the body. So last week when we were talking about into the heart from the body, we're talking really about the vena cava when we're talking about veins. And then the aorta, okay, which is your artery, and it carries the blood from the heart, away from the heart and to the body. Okay, so we're just getting more specific. So the arteries are still the ones that take away from the heart. The veins are still the ones that take the blood into the heart, but we're just getting more specific with the names of them, okay? And it is quite complicated. So you might have to watch this back again as you get your head around it, but just do what you can. Obviously, next week we'll be all back in school together and we're going to recap the stuff that we've done. So don't panic, okay? Let's have a look at what your task is then. So on your sheet, you have got a diagram of the heart, which looks just like this. And I want you to label it with the key features, okay? So you've got your left and right atrium there at the top, left and right ventricle at the bottom, those main arteries and veins that we've just talked about. And obviously you can flash back to the last page of the video, you can stop there and you can have a go at your sheet. Add some arrows to show the flow of the blood. So how is the blood moving, in which direction? And label your oxygenated and your deoxygenated blood. So you could do a bit of a key because it's in a colour. So you could say which colour is showing which. Then I want you to write a little bit of an explanation about how the blood moves through this double pump system. So explain in a short paragraph exactly what I've explained to you, how the double pump system works. So where your blood's beginning, how it's going through the lungs there, how it's getting its oxygen, how it's coming back, it's going to the body, and the oxygen is being given to the rest of your body parts. You've got a word bank there with all the kinds of words that the scientific proper language that I would like to see you using in that explanation. And let's see you show off what you've understood from that. So if you need to, as I say, rewind and pause and check, that's absolutely fine. If you need to do some extra research online, that's absolutely fine. But everyone at our bare minimum should be able to label those parts of the heart, okay? So have a go. Shout if you need any help. We're on the other end of an email. We're at the drop-ins at 12:10. And thank you for joining the lesson. Go and have a go at it. It's complicated science stuff. This has taken it up a notch from last week, but hopefully you're finding it interesting. So have a go and remember to contact your teacher if you are not sure. I will see you all on Monday in real life.